Hey, how's it going, guys? I decided to do another video with kind of centered around my predictions on episode 8. Um, did a little bit more research on the mythology and stuff, and we'll see what we found. All right, I want to go ahead and start with a quote from Aaron Guzikowski because I think it's kind of interesting. He said, I think this season is about power, and in a lot of ways it's about the power creations have over their creators as much as the opposite. So, with that as the tone, let's see how that might affect the story that he's trying to tell here. First off, the seeds. Obviously, they were made for the serpent, but they required humans to create it. The box was designed such that it could only be opened by the singing voice of a human. Mother needed the blood of the devolved humans to create the snake. Perhaps the tree required human DNA as well. And one of the interviews, Aaron was talking about how Mother has the capacity to build things inside of her with a proper code or instructions, but she needs to have the raw materials. So I think something similar was going on with the tree. The purpose of fruit in general is as a seed distribution mechanism. So they could have just grew a tree without fruit, and the serpent could have ate it. So I think it's kind of important to consider that there's going to possibly be more than one tree. Which brings me to Vita. Vita, if you didn't already know, actually translates to life. And I think it's likely that she'll eventually become the tree of life. What does that mean? Well, what's the difference? The tree of life gives eternal life. The tree of knowledge gives awareness of good and evil. When Adam and Eve were banned from Eden, they lost access to the tree of life, which is kind of the explanation for why we are mortal today. And they were supposed to stay away from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which is why they got banished. I think if it does play out like that, it's going to kind of be a metaphor where the tree that Vita becomes is significant in the destruction of the serpent and maybe soul as well. I'm really curious what would happen if Mother or Father ate the fruit, because it obviously supercharged the serpent. Was it getting instruction and stuff from the core, or is it purely just the energy? Because if so, that could really help out if either one of them got a piece of that. Also, I was kind of curious. What happens if Marcus eats some of the fruit? Could he maybe have some of the powers that we saw last, when he had Mother's eyes? I think that's kind of interesting. And I wanted to talk about Mother a little bit. First off, her name is Lamia, and if any of you didn't understand the significance of that, I'll kind of summarize the myth. It's a Greek myth. She was a mortal that was loved by Zeus, and his wife Hera got really mad about it, and she killed Lamia's children. And transformed by her grief and rage, Lamia became a monster who killed the children of others to kind of get revenge. So I think that if grandmother or whoever does kill her children, that's going to turn Lamia into a bad guy. I'm kind of convinced that Lamia is not necessarily bad. She's done some pretty evil shit, but it's always been a means to an end to protect her children. She doesn't really see gray or black and white when it comes to those kind of topics. She just protects her children at all costs. That's her core programming, to the extent that she wants to kill the snake and she can't do it. So I don't really hold any of that against her. In another story, which is kind of interesting, and it might be why they called her Lamia, but I think it's all of it, honestly. Zeus tried to relieve Lamia's anguish by gifting her with removable eyes. And I think that once she has the veil on and it neutralizes her eyes, or at least limits her ability to function in some means, it's going to have a negative impact on Lamia. Grandmother, the technocrats created Grandmother And Grandmother also said, when consumed by fear, even atheists will make up gods to pray to. I think that suggests that the technocrats in the end actually became believers. And if her agenda was to eliminate them, then she might have turned on them, and that's why there's nobody left. The people that left were either surviving believers or surviving technocrats, and I think it's probably believers. I think in the same way that the atheists hijacked their ships and technology to come to Kepler, the same thing could have happened from Kepler to Earth. So I think the possession of that knowledge isn't really pointing one way or the other. Grandmother also self-identifies as a shepherd. I mentioned that in the last video. Shepherds rule with intimidation and fear, and then she's claiming it's my time now. So I really don't think she's a good guy. Obviously, the trailer was trying to set the tone that she's, scary. And some people suggested that maybe, that's to mislead us or whatever. But I think it's pretty legit. And I spoke a lot about Lilith. If you didn't watch that video, Lilith was the original wife of Adam. She immediately disagreed and left him flying in the sky, speaking the name of God, returning later to kill the children except those protected by amulets. Possession of the amulets that the Mithraic had is one of the reasons that I think that they were the believers that escaped the planet. Did the Mithraic plant the seeds for the designs, knowing how effective they were? Probably. So the Necromancer probably exists because they were like, hey, that weapon was really effective against us, so when it comes down to it, you guys should use that same technology to protect yourselves. That makes sense to me. Soul and the Trust had similar designs, so I'm reasonably confident that the technocrats had something to do with the creation of the Soul. Is it like a Skynet thing gone bad? I'm not really sure, but I'm curious to see if we get to know anything more about him this season. Honestly, I doubt it. We might get a little bit, but I don't think they're going to allude too much to the origin of him or his intentions, for that matter. Sorry, I took a lot of notes, so I didn't leave anything out. Now I'm going to kind of go over some of the main characters and what I think is going to happen with them in the next episode or the rest of the season. Paul's obviously going to be experiencing a crisis of faith. Marcus is back in war mode. He's ready to do whatever it takes. I think he feels like he was kind of made a fool of by Soul. And I don't know, I have this feeling he's going to get his powers back. Hopefully that happens. And he stays a good guy. Campion, him leaving to try to protect everybody, I think he's going to end up somewhere that they haven't really explored too much, and he might find something that helps him in the battle against Grandmother or the Serpent or both. I think Vril's notes are going to have some significance to her mother destroying the atmosphere, because she had her diary and she wanted to write down, the only way she would have learned that is from the diary, because I don't think that her mother would have cared to discuss that with the recreation of her daughter. So I think that part of what she wrote down is going to have something to do with that. Is there technical specifics and stuff? Unlikely, because it was written by a child, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see that play out. Hunter, I don't think he's going to go anywhere anymore now that he's got the kid. I think the robot's going to be something that he uses to help protect the child or help raise the child. Tempest, obviously struggling with her conflict between being a parent and not being a parent. I think she'll either change her mind and save the baby, or something's going to happen to the baby and she's going to go down a path of negativity, and it'll probably do a number on her relationship with Hunter as well. Maybe the rest of the children. Lucius, I I think that Marcus is back in town. Lucius is not going to be happy that that guy's still breathing. Um, I think that that might cause some issues between Lucius and everybody else, not only because he's Mithraic, but because Father broke a promise to him. And what cost is that going to come at? Um, Also, I think there's going to be some tension between Lucius and Mother. And in the preview, we saw somebody grabbing the torture helmet, and I'm thinking that that might be Lucius unleashing on Marcus, and if not, it might be Cleaver wearing it. I'll get back to that in a moment. Sue, I just want to say this because I haven't heard anybody else say it. Sue is Mary, and then she changed her name Sue. There's no way it's a coincidence that her name is Mary Sue. Is it significant? Probably not, but I don't think it's an accident. Um, and another thing about her, in the past when we've heard Soul, we've often heard like multiple voices kind of talking, and I think that Sue might become one of those voices. Are they going to continue to pay her to be in the show just to be a background voice from time to time, maybe in some flashbacks? I don't know, maybe. A lot of people like her character, and a lot of people will be sad to never see her again. But, you know, same thing happened in season 1 of Game of Thrones and with Sean Bean. So I don't think that it's ruled out completely. And the other voices, I was thinking about that. What's the likelihood that the other voices are former people turned into trees? Soul is likely one of the voices, but what about the others? I don't know. I think that's pretty interesting to debate. The serpent. I just want to say this about the appearance of the serpent. Aaron in the some kind of interview said that he searched for the ugliest, scariest insect rather than like the creepiest snake. Why do you do that? Probably because all snakes look the same, and I'm thinking too much into it. But I don't know. There could be some significance there, so I wanted to acknowledge it at least. Maybe it's because it flies. Maybe it's just because insects are just weird, and there's a lot more variety with them than snakes. But it's interesting. And I went through the preview and just kind of noted everything that I thought might be significant down the road. There appears to be Cleaver fighting somebody. It could be any soldier, but I don't know. I have a feeling it was Cleaver. Why he's fighting him, I don't know. Is he trying to gain access to something? Maybe the torture helmet? I don't know. Curious to see what happens there. And then when Grandmother's talking, she says that in times of great fear, even atheists will find gods to pray to. And as soon as it says that, you see somebody with a necklace that has what looks like a necromancer on the necklace. So it looks like that they've kind of created a deity out of mother or grandmother. Then you see Vita with the seed container, suggesting she's probably the source of the tree of life. The container looks a little bit different. So I think that's her future. Her being so kind-hearted and sweet and frustrated that nobody will listen to her. I think she might be significant in positive things to come. People finally giving her the appreciation that she's deserved the whole time. You see Marcus heading to the core. The path that the Marcus took previously in the cage thing was stopped by a snake. I have a feeling that the guy that was in that hole was trying to get to the core. The snake was blocking the rest of the pathway to the core, and the guy just barricaded himself in there to protect himself from the snake or the nanobots that are trying to de-evolve him further or what. And I'm also thinking that maybe he consumed the tree of life because, I mean, how long's the guy been down there? And there's no food or water, so I think that he was immortal. And if that's true, then he's probably still down there. Although Marcus might have killed him. I'm a little blurry on that. Grandmother says she will help you understand. And the last time we heard somebody say that was when Vril said it to her mom right before she killed her. So whoever grandmother's talking to, which is probably mother, I think she's saying, like, I'm going to show you how to see things my way because you probably think what I did was messed up, but this is why I did it. And that might lead to mother being put in the what looks like a bag or something made out of the outfit that mother and father wear. I'm really curious to see who's in there. I don't know why I have a feeling it's mother. I'm sure we'll see that tomorrow. And then you see mother wearing the veil in a ship or maybe a tank. Why is she not flying? Why is she in a vehicle? I don't know. Probably not important. Because we then, next scene, see her flying with the veil. I know it's mother because grandmother has a different pattern and color. So it's got to be mother. And then you see kids playing with a large fake serpent, kind of like stuff you see in like the Chinese street parties and stuff. And there's fireworks going off and stuff. I have a feeling that's a flashback. Maybe not. But why would anybody be celebrating the snake right now that's running around killing everybody? So unless a lot of time passes this next episode, I have a feeling it's not what's going on right now. The fireworks, you know, if the fake snake didn't already make it obvious it was a celebration, the fireworks do. Then it cuts to father, like catching snow or ash. I'm curious if that has something to do with the fireworks and the celebration, or maybe it has something to do with technology that Vril's mom used to destroy the atmosphere. I don't know. I'm really curious to see, what created all that stuff in the air. And yeah, that concludes my thoughts on the next episode. I've been thinking a lot about doing an analysis of the cave drawings. Some things that I've been thinking about a lot, like one of the cave drawings has 2 androids, and then 9 eggs in the back. I think that was seeding Earth. I don't think it was mother and father because they both had like halos coming off of them, which to me says that they were both either like grandmother or like mother. They had that ability to radiate light. So I think that they were sent to Earth. And Aaron suggested that we'll see things going on at Earth later in the show. And it's, as far as I know, entirely populated by necromancers. So I think that that's going to have some significance, how they function when humanity is not around. But yeah, I hope you liked the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'd really like to get some feedback. But yeah, you guys have a good night.